adjustments to the agenda? Pretty limited in scope. Okay.
The JB forwarded us something about.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I will take that up under public forum, but unless somebody wants to make a motion, that's something that they can see supporting and adding to our town meeting warning.
No,
He can, as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned, if that's, the process is, I believe, to go out and get 5%, a petition of 5%, and I just don't know that it's even legal. So
Yeah.
it's, he wanted us to put a ballot article on the town meeting day warning about dredging the river.
Oh, check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that was in our, anything that we were thinking we would do. Public forum, is anybody here for the public forum? Otherwise, we will go on to the Mad River Path Waite House lease discussion. And I know we have Misha and Mark Brood from Mad River Path. And we did have a communication from Misha, I believe, right around the beginning of the year. With some concerns mainly about storage and the rate that's being charged for storage. Right?
I think, basically, I think we just have to figure out whether we can afford to stay as tenants in the
Right.
building. A jump from $108 to $913 is
Yes.
a big jump.
Yes. Well, and I think, and this is part of the ongoing discussion about updating the leases at the Waite House for those people who are just tuning in. And as part of that, there has been a regular rent increase to the office, which is roughly 150 square feet. It probably a little bit less if it's only $108 rent. And as part of the ongoing effort to kind of spruce up the Waite House and better manage the property, one of the things that we want to get a handle on is all the storage. So in the lease, storage was written, technically it's a fine for storage. We're not saying it's fine to have storage. And that these are the charges for it. We're actually trying to discourage storage. So I think, so Misha had requested a conversation regarding what they have going on there and what they're looking for. And I agree that that's something that needs to happen, because I think we need to really understand what it is you're looking for as a tenant and what we can provide.
Thank you. So it was actually a year ago when together with all the tenants, we wrote a letter to the Waite House Commission and CC'd the select board, and I'll read that to you. So we want to begin by expressing our deep gratitude to the town for providing our organization with a more comfortable, convenient place to work, collaborate, and serve the community. Thank you for inviting us to serve on the commission and the combined tenancy, and for the opportunity to contribute to planning for the long-term future. Before we dive into this work, we want to make sure we have a common understanding of the foundational principles governing the shared use of property. Establishing the foundational facts will help us to move into productive work as a committee member. Below are our assumptions based on review of the past leases. There's no current leases. Number one, the commission is following the mandate of the select board vote from 11/12/23 to restore, repair, and expand current uses. Number two, the Historical Society, Friends of the Mad River, Art Groups, Planning District, Mad River Path are the tenants of the Waite House, each assigned a specific space for use by their organization and cooperatively sharing the common spaces of the building. Number three, the spaces used in common include the downstairs and upstairs hallways, the bathrooms, conference room, kitchen, loading dock, basement, and finished and unfinished barn spaces. The clarification of the structural principles of shared tenancy outlined above will help us to better understand our role and to move forward in a productive and collaborative manner. This was a year ago, and then following that, because we got a grant from the Rotary to purchase canoes to use for summer camp with children and to use, and to create a gear lending library. And we're moving forward with summer camp. I went to Annie, I asked Annie how to handle this, and Annie said this should be handled through the White House Commission. And these questions were really never addressed, but today was the day. We were just at the White House Commission meeting, and we just started addressing some of those questions in a good way. So then later, I attempted also to say we have summer camp coming, and we need to use the barn space. What's the structure? We never really, there was no opportunity to address it. This all took a long time. However, the summer camp went, the summer camp happened. And so here we are, where the next communication that we got in return was the lease, basically saying here are the charges for use of all the spaces. So I'm not at all blaming anybody. The process that is what it is, and thank you for the opportunity to express finally what our needs are, and Meadow Path under my leadership has been growing to bring organization into place of sustainability. The board decided for us to expand our work to include summer programs for children, which is both a service to children and a revenue stream.
Financial
for the organization.
sustainability then?
Yes.
Okay.
Financial organization sustainability. We took on coordination of the Med River Triathlon together with 3 other organizations, with Friends of the Med River, with Med River Riders, and the Vet Country Coalition. And last year in particular, it was a very busy year. It coincided with a work with construction of 12 kiosks for 5 organizations, which is something that we inherited from the planning district that passed on to the Med River Path prior to my time, with building a new bathroom at the Welcome Center. Just a lot of flurry of activity. I had noticed early on, I inherited the need to do cleanup. There was a lot of cleanup from many previous years of Med River Path and other organizations, the chamber that lived at the White House for a long time, and working together, we have organized all of this. And one of the things we agreed with Friends of the Med River, we used the same tools. We agreed to bring our tools together and build a tool rack at the connector space for use by both organizations. So we did. The canoes were donated to us, and we purchased a new trailer. And during the season, we stored canoes on the trailer. After the season was over, we put them in an outdoor shed, which is used for storing kiosk lumber for all the kiosks in the valley, which is used by Friends of the Med River to store some of their materials. Permeable pavers used by Stewart MRV to store after the season. We bring all the garbage cans and all of their materials in there. So together we fill that space. So there's a connector space that we currently use together with Friends of the Med River, and there is a shed space that is used by 3 organizations currently. And in the lease, we are being asked to pay for those 2 spaces and also for a footprint, for the trailer footprint, which was incorrectly calculated based on the fact that whoever did the calculations, there was a new trailer and there was a utility trailer, which is mine, which was there because Josh Schwartz was using it at the time. And so that's kind of the situation. And then the question is it for sure we should be, if it's important that we pay for all the different spaces we use, we should do that. I want to ask the question, is it reasonable to pay the same per square foot for the heated indoor space with electricity and lights and internet as for the 3-side connector space where we use so many square feet as for a 3-sided shed As for a footprint, we can try. So this is asking you to consider those questions. Thank you.
As Kathleen mentioned, that fee was to dissuade you from using those spaces. We want those spaces open so you can get in there and do repairs. And we do not want to use the White House property as common storage.
I think the major sort of disparity in understandings that I'm hearing is that your understanding of what was kind of included in the common space is significantly different from what it sounds like the White House Committee and the town or commission and the town is understanding as being part of that shared space. And your understanding, I believe, includes a number of spaces that are unheated, but that the town and the commission did not consider to be part of that shared common space for common use. Is that
Or
accurate?
desire to have it.
So I think that's where some of the sticker shock is coming from, is that the intention was that that calculation, whether accurate or not, was going to be a penalty for using space in a way that was not as designed. I believe that is what the intention was there.
The intention was to avoid the clutter on the property and to avoid what happened before you all came in and cleaned up the space. And some of this seems reasonable to me and some of it seems to be like, that is concerning. Like, for example, Stewart MRV all of a sudden being a tenant on the property is interesting because I'm not sure who gave them permission to put their stuff there because it wasn't the White House Commission, right? So that's a problem, is that people are just doing stuff still without asking first. And I think we need to have a sense of what people need ahead of time before they go forward and do it. Because doing it first and then asking forgiveness ruffles feathers. So I think we really need to have a conversation about, I think there's like short term and what's practical and long term about what we really want to have that place look like. I get that, like, that breezeway space, I'm calling it, between the barns, is like a use space in terms of you have tools there that you're using on a regular basis. It's not during the winter, presumably, but they're organized. But I'm also hearing you say that you're sharing it with the Friends of the Mad River. So if we're charging you that square footage, Friends of the Mad River should be paying half of it, right?
That's a common understanding that Ira and I have about the
Okay.
space. It's just unfortunate that the way it came in the form of a lease. It didn't come in the form of, here is a penalty for unauthorized use. So we interpreted it as a lease, it's a charge, and I responded to that as it was. And also, if you also please consider that all the supplies, but first of all, everything is really well organized.
It is very well organized. We saw that today.
And you were there, you experienced what it was like before when it was just trash heap.
And right now,
I appreciate that it's cleaned up, but the problem that Christine raised is it did get out of control because there was no oversight over who was putting the stuff where.
There were no sort of clear boundaries and rules of engagement around that.
yeah, the Stewart MRV has been storing things there for many years. And that goes back to the chamber being a tenant at the White House and Stewart MRV being a program of the chamber.
Yeah,
That's
but
probably,
Stewart MRV is like 3 years old, and the chamber hasn't had a rental space in the White House for like 7 or 8 years.
I really don't, I can't comment on it.
Yeah.
But what I do want to point out, we love being at the White House and working together with Friends of the Mid River and the planning district is very productive. We're getting to a place of really working together and it's powerful. We have a weekly community lunch. We clean up spaces together. We plan together. It would be really sad you have to move from the weight house. But measure a path for our work. These are the things we need. We need tools. We need to store long-term kiosks in the whole valley. It needs to be central place, right? For this. Could places be found for all of this? Could we move summer camp and do it somewhere else in the valley? For sure. Could we have a shop somewhere else? For sure. But having a central location for the organization from which it can function, where it can have an office, in a place where children come to, in a place where community members come to learn to commute. That's the only thing that makes
That
it
brings up
possible.
another subject, and that is the summer camps and everything. We need, if they're using that area for summer camps and other such activities, we need to know that you have good liability insurance. For that's a completely different subject altogether. Storage.
And
Might
that
you
was
consider-
addressed. Remember that, Fred,
No,
that
I don't.
I brought it up I asked the commission about use of space. Commission did not have time to address this in their meetings. And I did write to the commission saying, this is we have full
Certificate of
liability insurance specifically for this, for all the programs that we are offering. So that,
I never saw it bonded. Didn't you guys see it bonded? Let me see.
And then the other question is there, do you have the proper zoning for the city? These are the camps, like have we checked into the zoning and what needs to happen as far as zoning?
the camps are not really, the weight house, I don't know if you have time for this now, but the weight house is, the way a camps is structured, is children come to the weight house in the morning, the first day of camp, and we have a meeting with parents, we back, and we leave, and we return in the afternoon of the last day of camp, and we have presentation for parents and goodbye ceremony. So it's no different than in the way you pick up from school or any other activity. We're not running camps, we're not sleeping there, we're not doing any activities there, but it's nice to have a space where if it's raining, you have a roof and there's a public bathroom to use for children and parents. Anyway, I think I've said everything I need to say. I love working at the White House. It's great. And if we need to pay that much money, it's more than we can afford. And we'll be forced to go elsewhere and it will be unfortunate.
You find some place to store if you use anything over
Sure, but are there
and other materials, because we're going to start in the next few years, hopefully, we're going to be starting working on the carriage and rehabilitating. We're going to go in this next year and paint the place. I assume the guy is going to use a spray paint with speckled canoes. My point is, it's not meant, our intent is not to have storage. So we could get in there and do it.
I appreciate that having sort of a central location can be convenient, but I think having to balance, especially if some of the materials are used seasonally rather than year round, well, I know for me at least that can be a hassle to have to store it somewhere physically separately, but it is doable and also a lot more affordable as having some sort of centralized external storage option. And there is storage in the valley, I believe. I also think it's reasonable for tenants to expect, well, to hope to have some option for storage on site, but I do think that that's something that has to be discussed and clearly delineated spatially, and have that be something that is agreed upon mutually rather than just assumed, because I for one find that things tend to expand to fill whatever space they are allowed, unless there is an active force that.
And then the next tenant comes in and says, well, if they can do that, then I can. So it's at me.
Well, I don't agree. I think they can do it under the same parameters that we defined for the current tenant. I'd hate to say, because we're gonna be working 2 years, we can't use the space. I mean, I think if we did allow storage, it would be contingent on needing to move it out in order to do work when the time comes.
And I think we need to know who's storing the stuff up front. And, you know, one tenant doesn't have the authority to give another tenant permission to do anything, right? And it's important. We want the path at the White House, and I am glad that there's a more regular presence from the path in the White House, because I think it was a real deficiency when there wasn't a person there on a regular basis representing the organization, because it is supposed to be a human building. So it makes it not feel so much like that, if that's the case. I mean, I could be agreeable, like, I get the tools, and if those are being used, I'm not thrilled with the canoe and the trailer. I would maybe be more amenable to shorter term rather than like every winter. Like, it's mid-January. So is this about getting through this winter and figuring it out, and then next winter, maybe you're not there? Because I'm sure you can see that when there's less stuff on the property, it's better. I don't know if there's room for compromise there.
Is there a provision in the lease that sort of anything by written agreement? Yeah. Okay. So I feel like if we can formulate some sort of ad hoc option that will tide us over until we're able to figure out something that's a system that can apply to everybody.
And I know that some of the other tenants, I know the basement, there's kind of like everybody's got a stall going right now, which I'm fine if it's contained, but it's when it starts going like this. And I think that would need to be covered as well for everybody. And then, but this isn't like, okay, if we come to some sort of agreement around this isn't like, well, they compromised on that, so let me see what else they can compromise on. I know there's some other issues at the White House that have become sticking points that need to be adhered to, right? Like I mentioned the fire doors. Like the fire doors need to be kept closed. The fire doors need to be there for a reason.
Fire doors have magnets.
Yep.
Public buildings, right? So that's the opening door of the
Right.
fire. So we have one fire door upstairs that is not a magnet, because we please install a magnet on the
Yeah.
door. Because with the door being shut, we don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, but that's still the same, as the same in the basement, so there's a cinder block on the fire door. So we need to make sure that there's a process of like, well, it takes too long to hear from the White House committee. I think there's people on the committee that are very responsive. They need to hear about the issue at like a formal level, rather than have people just come up with their own solutions.
Well, that was part of why it was pretty important to me when we reviewed that lease. I was like, who do the tenants call? Like, when something happens, they need to have a person, or a number, a something to reach out to, because that's part of, the contract of the town being a landlord, and the commission sort of taking care of that landlord responsibility.
I really think we ought to make it. But until we do, we need to keep it short.
Well, yeah, I've thought for a long time, we shouldn't let the historical society decide that the main door into the building stays locked. The main, into
On the floor?
the historical society.
That goes to like the conference room to get through their main space there.
You shouldn't have to go up the back stairs.
Oh, you want to
and
leave
all
both
that.
doors open?
Yeah.
Oh,
The historical society hasn't always been private.
oh,
If
but
you-
in fact, this is all time. I'm thinking about putting a museum that is open to the public 24/7. But that's it. No, I'm good with that.
So thank you, Tracy.
I was going to say, would it, I think to have some sort of definitive next steps as to what. I want to make sure we all leave with the same understanding of what's going to happen. Because I understand that the price tag will not work as written, but I don't know sort of what the compromise interim options are. Because if it's just the square footage for the office space, then you're like, what's the rent in that?
No problem with increase, very noticeable increase of rent for the office space. We get, if you just to pay rent for other spaces, it's reasonable, but I would encourage you to assess it based on what are the rates for three-sided dirt floor outdoor storage spaces. And what is the rate for storing a canoe trailer on the footprint of a canoe trailer? I don't know those numbers, but these are comparisons. As far as canoes go, the intent of the canoes outside of the summer camp is to build a canoe landing ramp and make them accessible so that people could come to stop by my office on Friday and say, hey, I'm taking a canoe for the weekend and make champagne. You need life jackets and pads and straps. They want to make outdoor recreation accessible.
And they'll
more
give you a
accessible.
waiver for a liability waiver, right?
Okay. It's not
Okay.
and they just handshakes. So have fun, enjoy it. If you break it, repair it. And of course, the news last way longer. You know, they come from the sun, right? They last way longer to store under cover. That's why I try to put them under cover so the season is over and put them back out once leaves are on the apple tree so they can be under the tree. They can last long. It all be happening, it all can happen in many other ways. The bigger question is, what is the vision? What is the collective vision for that incredible space that could be a place that holds historical society, a non-profit hub, a place for children, a place for community gatherings? It could accommodate all of this uses with just a little of imagination and goodwill and
I agree with you. And that's what we're working through right now.
Yeah, I think we should, in that, as you may know, I don't remember when we got here, we haven't been the best landlord in town over the years. And we've had a lot of deferred maintenance. So what you see is an attempt to get a better handle on being a better landlord and paying some of the costs that are going to be necessary to make some of the repairs and deferred maintenance that we've been doing. And try to do it in a way that does encourage the nonprofit, which I have always shown that. So this is, this isn't the final word. I think Larissa's suggesting something really good. Is what are the next steps to kind of help answer some of these questions?
And I think it's natural that there's going to be some tension as we move forward with this process because it was kind of lawless before. And all of a sudden we're trying to put parameters on it. So, it's going to take some more time.
It's an opportunity.
Yes, there we go.
Yes.
No, seriously, I think it's a good opportunity
Yeah.
to clarify what I would hope as next steps we might be able to define. Are there any of those outdoor spaces that we would be okay with? I'm not on the Waitsfield Commission board or anything like that. Those are okay in the short term for storage. If so, can we designate which one or have a timeline of, hey, we're going to start doing work on that building next summer, making this up next summer. So therefore, no, that's off limits for now. But this space, we're not going to start for 2 or 3 years. That one would be okay. I very much agree on the, if we're going to allow permanent storage in an outdoor facility, that it would be a different lease rate than indoor heated space, all the utilities and everything else that comes with it. So there's a middle ground. One thing I think we're very serious about is we need to, in order to get to that next step and better use of that space, the place needs work, a bunch of work. And, that work's really hard to do when there's stuff everywhere. That's one. And second is the visual from him. I think part of what you're hearing is, I don't really like the look of having a trailer full of canoes. I love what you're trying to do with the canoes and the community you're serving and the opportunity you're providing. So let's figure out, is there any items we're not seeing from quite so visibly? It's been a good opportunity to work together to figure out how to do this to keep our prized tenants with you, and as you said,
To me, that all sounds good. I think basically we just have to figure out. Sounds to me like we're collectively, we haven't come to a common understanding of what we're trying to do here. I mean, if no storage is, I mean, if you're literally trying to get rid of all the outside stuff, just tell us stop and go find someplace else. But if it's a matter of managing the stuff, so it looks better, looks good, it's organized, that's that. Trying to do a good job of organizing
And from what I've seen at least today, it was really well, and there wasn't any problem getting access to the space. Everything was really well
it. I
organized.
think it's much better than you use. But if it's not what we as landowners want, just tell us and we'll do something else. But, and then the other is just to look at the rents. I mean, obviously, the building needs work. Whether that work can be done with the rents that you collect from all these nonprofits is probably not where you're going to end up.
Yeah.
So, it's ultimately for us, it's just going to be a matter of what's a reasonable rent. And so, I mean, the way the current lease is proposed, it's $168 for the office, which is great. I mean, yes, it's more than it was, but it's fine. $750 to store the canoes there per month. I think we could do better.
I think you
Someplace
did
else.
too. I think that was the purpose. So
Which won't be as good for the program. I mean, but we can do it.
the storage part, I think, was I don't think the intention. I can't put words in the mouth of the commission was to chase you away as tenants. I don't think that was the
It's,
intention.
not to discourage storage. And I think up front, knowing what it is, what the vision is helpful, rather than being like, oh my God, there's all these canoes here. What am I doing here? And I know and I think summer might be different than winter, but again, then we get into the mowing the lawn. I was revisiting one of those emails. Like, I know it was a problem to have that in space because then it becomes something to work around. So I think we just need to be like really clear. Like, I'm assuming you're not going to try and store anything else now. There's like what we see is everything that you need there, or like, and if there is more, I think that needs to be a conversation first before it shows up.
So we just got a grant for 3 e-cargo bikes, one for each of the warehouse organizations, so that when people come to work, they can leave their cars and travel through the valley with a bike and all in up there. And so those would naturally fit really well. We need connector space and wiring would be done, if it's part of the grant, there's money available to do that for charging. And they will be available for town employees as well. If they want to across the street. So I think we discuss it now. You guys have a lot to do.
Right, yeah, but don't go installing any charging stations.
Because we've actually talked about taking that section. We don't know how we're going to use that section.
I hear all of that. I'm not intending for it to be this way. We saw 3 But brought everybody together, and together formulated a question, we wanted to do all of this in an organized way, but we didn't have answers. In the meantime, the work continued to the speed at which my work continued at the back, and the speed with which decisions are being made, and we did not match. And
Significantly
it
different.
caused this, and we done a good job in this. You know, I like to organize things and I like to work together with others. We think we're doing a good job at the White House and we're enhancing the space together with others. So thank you for the time to hear it. You know,
I do have to say that, and I think the e-bikes sound really cool, and I think having a charger for them would be great. I'd love to have an EV charger there. We tried to get one here, but that's the kind of thing that when we're told after the fact that there's this grant, instead of saying, "Hey, there's this opportunity, I'd like to submit a grant," would that be okay? That would do a lot to improve communication.
Which I realize perhaps did not move at the rate that the PAC Association wants to move, but that's the rate that the democracy is moving. And I feel like there's middle ground. But
We need to know ahead what's happening. We feel that we aren't in control of the events, that we are responsible. We don't get the feeling that we get the feeling that we're being told continuously.
but thank you. I would like to come and give you an update on what the plans are going forward. And maybe do a quick review of the past year as it relates to plans.
All right, thank you. And
their East Coast, the commission will deal with the.
and we can discuss, I mean, we can take some time to discuss that now, or we can do it next week.
Thank you.
Good night. Executive session.
Okay.
For the purpose of
All right, we will do that, and then, move on to budget. Brian circulated. Draft.
Yeah, and there were a couple of things that changed. Like I said in the email, I started this from some sections and then realized that it's doing cut and paste and stuff. I didn't go in and understand all the formulas. So I kind of tried to reconstruct it. I'm still a work in progress. But I did put new proposed budget for fleet. So I compiled everything that we've already worked on. So this is the complete set of expenditures for our budget. And it includes the sections that we've worked on, all the town operations, road, and fire. And then I added new proposed FY26 numbers for employee benefits, public safety, dues and assessments, special appropriations, and miscellaneous. And Josh has been working on the capital stuff, which we now have a draft.
So the first tab, this column should be FY26 proposed.
FY26 expense detail.
Right, but the gray column there, column D, that should be FY26. This is FY25, right?
No, column G.
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah. 23-24 actuals. And the is this current year 25 budget. G.
This is 26.
That's the FY26 expense summary.
That's the tab.
The expense detail.
That's
No, I'm looking at the expense summary.
No, I should be on the expense detail.
Okay, but on expense summary,
That's not changed.
but this is from FY25 or FY26?
I guess it's
The first tab.
that. Yeah.
Sorry.
You know what it may be? I have not worked on the expense summary,
Yeah.
Oh,
but
okay.
it may be linked to the expense detail.
Okay,
So it may
So
be
we're going-
changing as I'm changing.
okay, so we're starting on the FY 26 expense detail. And this is not, no, it is a group expense.
Well, I just sent an Excel.
You can open it in Google Sheets, but I don't think it's gonna be the same thing.
Okay. When I put in the next changes. All right, sorry. Okay, expense detail. Do we just want to go through?
Want to go down to employee benefits? I think we've been through the rest. We should revisit it all as a whole. Let's get through the next round of, new numbers before we do
So
that.
we're on,
Employee benefits, which is
row,
140.
employee benefits starts, you're on the third tab, expense detail.
Yes.
There's numbered rows and then there's the spreadsheet,
Yes.
134, 130.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Spreadsheets.
I was looking at the spreadsheet row, but it's 434 on the budget.
So is that an actual quote?
Where?
Or the significantly higher health insurance
Yes.
of 192
I said I wanted to confirm it.
premium increase.
Yeah.
That's a 50% increase.
In a couple of years, yeah.
What is it?
I'm looking at 100% increase in 3 years.
And that's through lines and downs. Yes, they would have negotiated as best they could.
Yeah.
Options.
School taxes were so much more. Yeah, and quite honestly, I mean, the thing to do there, which is kind of too late in the game, it really needs to happen in the spring. It's something that we want to do is with the personnel policy. And, right now we kind of like, there's language around the platinum plan. And I think people just focus on that. I think there's ways to save money and protect our employees as well. But it takes time and creative thinking.
A number of towns, including, I don't know when they did it, but I know a number of towns have recently moved away from offering the platinum plan and offering a lower, higher deductible plan, but also contributing to an HSA or HRA.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they found savings there.
Yeah, and I don't know about percentages. That came up in the Senate conversation, but state employees, all school employees, they're all paying 20%. And ours pay, I think it's 13% for a family plan. So it's not uniform across the board.
It's 95 for a single, 94 for
So employees might only pay 5, 6, or 13%, whereas most, you're a state employee or you work for a school district, you pay 20%.
Okay.
For whatever you get,
Regardless.
whether you're single with a platinum plan or whether you're a family on a silver headed plan, you pay 20%. Of the premiums.
Says that it has to be insurance. I've been, this is probably not for right now. The risk pool that Vermont is drawing from for the state provided health insurance is a risk pool that's getting increasingly expensive to pay for. I don't know if they're.
We haven't had community rating in 25 years. So it doesn't matter. But yeah.
Is this, do you know to your earlier thing, the ways we can restructure the offering the conversation? Is our open enrollment like on an annual basis or is it actually not throughout fiscal year? Did we just go through open
I think we
enrollment?
just.
Yeah, there has to be a
October
declaration
was
in
kind of
December.
Yeah,
So we're kind of
Until you
waiting
Yeah.
for this budget year.
yes. Although, something could be done to impact the second
For the
budget.
back half of the year.
From January 1, twenty-six to June 30th, 2026. So there's work that can be done to change it for the second half of the year. Whether I would change the budget number or not is, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, but, we should put that on our work plan, because otherwise we'll end up at budget
Yeah.
time next year saying, oh, we missed.
Well,
missed the window.
and all said and done, I think we were still only at a 4% increase.
Correct.
Oh, and also this,
You're the way that you want to do the capital.
our fourth road crew member was getting the buyout too.
Yes,
And this is anticipating a family coverage for the fourth road crew. So that's a bump of,
Yeah.
$38,000.
yes.
So this is not all premium increase, this is part of changing our
Yes, yes.
enrollment.
So
Yes.
we lost a buyout and we got a family, which may or may not happen.
Right,
And
so
also,
we have to plan,
Annie
we always have to plan.
was not, so our actual for last year was less, because she didn't have a family. I don't remember if she bought out or was single or whatever, because they just.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
But yeah,
it's
we
a-
kind of budget for the worst in this one because it's a $40,000 budget. Get a family plan. Budgeted for a buyout. It's $38,000.
So and one possibility actually, so this anticipates the family for the administrator. Treasurer is not taking part. The clerk is a family, JB and Josh are both buyout, and then we have two families and one single. And what this includes is just an extra half year single as what we've done in the past, but we don't necessarily need to do that. We've got
Ultimately, I think leaving that as is and being at 4.8%
maybe 50%.
at the bottom. I think, 4.8% is certainly less than last year, although I don't remember it being that high.
Last year, there's something's off in the 2024 numbers. In the town plan, we were at 2.676 in 24 and went up to 2.752 in 25. That's like a 3% increase.
I just remember being impressed that it like tracked with inflation.
Yeah, so in the 2024 actuals, Steve gave me a PDF form, and I changed them in all of the other spreadsheets, and so they need to be rechecked.
Yeah, but
Oh, so that could have been just that we underspent in 2024?
no, FY 24 was 2,676,901.
That's always.
But FY 25 is correct in that column. So you're looking at,
You're talking about FY24 budget, not the actual.
I'm talking, yes, the budget.
Yeah.
So the increase between the projected budgets was not that 11.8%. It was lower. However, from this current projected increase versus last year's $2,752,344 is only 14%. That would be correct.
Yes.
So,
And we might be still.
yes, but yeah, well, he was saying, I pointed out that the way that Josh has proposed the reserves, that doubles the projected spending increase. And I disagree with that method of doing the reserves. Like the reserve, you don't fund what you don't change your reserves contribution based on what you're spending in the year. It's supposed to be like a consistent amount to build up your reserves. Sometimes when you spend, they go lower. Sometimes when you spend, they don't go so low. So I could see if there's expenses, I could see based on cost increases we see coming down the road, increasing those numbers a little bit. But just because we're gonna move up the purchase of a $75,000 truck, I'm not gonna advocate increasing our reserve contribution by that $75,000. That's the whole point of the reserve. is that
I would
we're
only
not
do that
Increasing it through the budget.
if we had a big windfall.
Yeah. And
Which we
we,
may.
and we know we have unreserved fund balances that we can use. So that's the other thing.
Yeah, that's the key. I guess clarification is, so I don't disagree with what you just said, but in last year's SIP plan for 2026, we were covering more through appropriations, and that was keeping kind of the reserve transfers flat, but then we were paying for the truck out of appropriations as a rather than funding through
We
reserves.
split it, right?
Some things we were split, so it was a little bit artificial. It's essentially we were under reserved.
Truck, we're under reserved for fire department. No doubt
I
about that.
didn't
But
try to make that all up.
yeah, that's not gonna.
But for the road department, where there's more near-term expenses in the next 3 or 4 years, we're significantly under reserve. So I'm unclear if you're when don't change the reserve. If we don't have the cash in the reserve account, then the only way to pay for it would be through appropriation.
We have that reserve, or near to it. The way that you did the reserves, what I saw was, so we're down to highway equipment, heavy equipment purchases.
You're looking at the SIP budget or this? Or the,
I'm looking at last week's. So you
Yeah,
had
SIP.
the SIP plan, right? So this current fiscal year, we would transfer $70,000 for reserves. And then you had 150, 150, 150, 150.
Mhm.
And that 150 means that after we spent money, we bought these vehicles, and we'd still have 75,000. Although the truck is supposed to come in the following year.
And we still have money in reserve in 2017,
In 26.
and that may have been because there was a fiscal year appropriation. But I'm looking at now. I've per our conversation last week that took out any of the appropriations. Your,
And yeah, right.
your comment was if it's a capital item, we should pay for it from the
Yes.
reserve, not appropriation. So I took out any appropriations which were in there, and we would need higher reserve amounts to cover the 2 new trucks that are coming up in 28. We need to be building more reserve funds to cover the bigger expenditures out in 28. So to me, it's not so much about the truck this year, the pickup truck, it's about $500,000 of expenses coming in 28, and we need to be building reserve funds to cover it. It's unfortunately they're both in the same year.
I don't- yeah.
So
I don't think it matters so much if they're in the same year. It's like what we have that we're looking at in the next 3 years. is what
So are you, would you, the reserve fund, can't go negative, right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so I'm, the way I've got this thing structured now, the road department vehicle reserve, which is meant to cover those items, gets down to a balance of $6,000 at the 2028 after we buy the
Mhm.
2 dump trucks.
Right.
I'm looking at, I think, an updated version that I haven't sent around every time today.
Yeah, but I've been looking at.
But
the
conceptually,
emails.
you can't, think go negative, or else we have to push out the purchase to next year or something like that to allow more time for the reserve to build. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Or, yes,
Or budget money, allocate money.
or
Mhm. I guess what's
just
the-
allocate some of the money. I wouldn't allocate a I wouldn't take a capital reserve. I would still put it into the, I would still do the pass-through, just because
Yeah, you don't, yeah.
then because you're I mean, it's all the same.
Yeah.
But Church did increase the the money that we're appropriating through the budget to the reserves was gone from 70,000 a year to 150,000.
The
So-
next version has it at $200,000.
Right.
a year.
Right, which I think that starts to give me angst about the amount that the budget is increasing on an annual basis. And I know,
100% agree.
yeah, no, and I think that's a part of the conversation. And I think that's when we have to start looking at the balances.
Yeah.
And do we want to allocate some of those unallocated monies towards something specific?
We're-
Yeah.
If we have the budget
Yes.
surplus and we don't want to have an 11% increase.
Right, and that's why
We have
this
to.
is a good exercise, because we can now say, this is why we're doing it, right?
Yes.
This is why it would make sense to do that.
Also, just, this is not as big a numbers as equipment required, but I'm wondering if we're going to use the reserves that we have. We talked, if we might want to consolidate some of them, then rather we're adequately funded to deal with anticipated needs now. If the roof park reserve, the sidewalk reserve, what do we have in store, and are those ones that we can either take a year off or try to make a problem?
Well, and the same, you can have it.
I think there's,
No, go ahead.
I think there's similar questions around some of the paving and
Yeah.
culvert reserve as well. Paving, I'm guessing, the way it's been working and I have it continuing work is like every other year. We're gonna do some significant paving project.
We have a paving schedule, and if, I don't know if you checked in with Charlie or Josh, but if they do the slow road this year, I'd be curious if that's getting us a year ahead.
It is getting us a year ahead, because it's originally here, it's in it's 2 years ahead, it's in FY 28, and so that's when we might have to say, like, doesn't work with the reserves. But yeah, I could see having like a paving and culvert reserve, like the equipment reserve, and then one reserve for all the other stuff, and tracking those numbers, and, well, fire department reserve. But it doesn't, you don't do any building reserve, truck reserve,
Yeah.
equipment
As far
reserve.
as what you said earlier, I think I agree with you that you want to stabilize the annual payments and that. But now, on the other hand, there may be reserves that are fully funded at some point.
Yeah.
And don't need. I've been a strong advocate for the conservation recreation reserve ever since they had conservation to it. But it's never been over $100,000, which it is now. And I'm going to get a call from the Phil tonight that is, is 10,000 adequate given the balance that we have. And so,
Mhm.
things like that. If we did need to start sharing.
Mhm.
Let's see that you mentioned a paving schedule, for example. I don't know if that exists also for culverts, but there's an area where we're continuing to fund those reserves. 200 a year for paving in last year's SIP plan and continuing in this year's SIP plan, 200 grand for paving, and 100 is dropping to 75 for culverts. So, if you guys have already started working with Charlie, awesome. If not, I'm happy to reach out. Yeah, just get that longer term schedule, understand what
That-
culverts are coming up.
So-
to your point, are we over reserving that?
That's that, yes, we do that with them, but that's also that, there was that budget line item somewhere, and that we have a contractor that created a schedule to look at. That's the time where there's a paving
Yeah.
plan that the town contracted with somebody to
But we
put
should-
together.
we should review that with Troy. I guess.
Yeah.
It's the timing and cadence, and
Yeah,
we can guesstimate the cost to see if we need to continue, I guess, in the paving requirement, we continue.
Yeah.
Significant reserve.
and then bridging home reserve, yeah. We need to continue because there's some significant projects that need to be replaced.
Right, so,
Aren't happening.
but there's another opportunity.
There's. Yeah, there's some else.
But we could, if that schedule exists, then we can line it up with the reserves and see
Yeah.
where we over reserve, under reserve. And if we were over reserved, as we put in. The other piece that's in there, where we're having paving is, for the slow road paving, which used to be in 28, there was a paving grant
Mm-hmm.
offsetting a chunk of the cost. I don't think we
Yeah.
applied for that.
And we're not gonna get, well, it's probably too late to apply for the grant. And we're
Yeah.
also probably not gonna get a grant, we already have a grant.
That we haven't used yet.
Right, so it's
Yeah.
not gonna cost us 35,000, it's gonna cost us $211,000. Because the grant, the projected grant here is $175,000, not $211,000. So when.
This is for the slow road?
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, regardless, the grant was projected at
understood.
$175,000.
Yeah, so the way this is structured now, it does look like with the grant we have in hand, we can, in the bids for the East One Road, we can cover that with the, and still have enough budget, enough reserve left to cover the full cost of the slow road without the grant.
Yeah, but why would we, unless they had another project lined up that they're gonna move forward, why would we pay $350,000 for the slow road? For the privilege of doing it a year early or 2 years early, when we can spend $175,000 in the last 2 years down the road.
Because
And,
there's gonna be another crisis
right,
project
but what,
2 years
but,
down
but,
the road.
what I'm saying, what is it? Why would we take on $175,000 in spending if we don't know what problem that's gonna ameliorate? And I would also say that I'm a huge supporter of our road department, but sometimes you don't get your new truck and your paving project all set up in the same fiscal year. You might have to pick.
100% agree, and I guess it's, working with them on the paving plan would answer a bunch of those questions. Like, is there a whole bunch of stuff stacked up that's gonna, require grants and long reserve and then, or not?
Right, and I could also, I could talk to them and say, right, at this point, how do you know that I see that the truck is a big need, and I'd be willing to move that up, but I don't think I'm willing to move up the slow road right now.
Yeah,
Two fiscal years.
and there are different costs of money, but
Yeah.
if we do Eastbourne Road, the slow road, we just did North Waston Road.
Yeah.
There's not much left in the immediate term, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and Bragnell's got some good. Oh, Johnson
Johnson
Hill.
Hill's been
Yeah.
on that docket.
Yeah, that
forever.
thing is.
Although that, they just did a shim job on it last time. It's only-
That was like.
It's,
a really long
That was a
time
long
ago.
time ago.
It's not holding.
it's not holding anymore. Yeah, take a
That's-
drive on it right now.
Yeah,
The guy who was just.
yes, the guy who never goes there.
No, they're like skin coat.
Regardless, even when there are a whole lot of projects that are, we have to consider.
Well, we did do that one on the cheap. but
Yes.
It helped for longer than.
Yeah.
But I guess point is, we know we're not gonna get grants every year.
Mhm.
There's probably more projects, significant projects than we're gonna get grant funding for. So to me, whether we apply the grant to the slow road or to Johnson Hill or to Bragg Hill, it doesn't really matter what we apply it to, as long as we can get that. So,
Right, that we have to make money with that. I still don't know whether the solar cost is $350,000 or $75,000.
Yeah, good about those, it would be closer to 100.
Well, if he can bring us in an estimate that's 100,000, that's a different.
That's all contingent on having them set up on their, different.
Yeah.
So, so is that sounds like that's an action item for that Charlie.
Mhm.
Is that, I'm happy to do it.
No, I'll be glad to join you. Just to understand it.
And that plan should be on the survey, so that it's Tyler's.
You remember was it 5 years?
It's probably about 5 years, because I think it was the first before.
Well, interestingly,
Yes.
there's $7,500
Yes,
appropriation in this year's, in the
yes,
26
and I think
budget
that's the
for
plan to have it updated
for
every
the
5
5
years.
year.
Well, we started on health insurance.
Well, we started looking at it.
No, I know.
Yeah, so I think the other big question is, what do we have in our reserve funds, and what could we then designate towards? Do we need to redesignate that into a reserve, and we want to spend it on an item that is impactful? Or could we still say buy that pickup truck using the designated fund reserve to allocate it into? Like, do we, I think
we
I'm
could do
gonna
that.
say, I think we have enough money, but I think that's how we left it graded.
No, we leased the grader, but we did it with
Yes. But we,
unbudgeted ARPA.
was it ARPA money? There was, at one point, it wasn't, we leased it, but I think the first payment might have come from the fund reserve.
Maybe so.
And I can't access something. But if we could do that, it gives us a little bit
Yeah.
of cushion. And that's really what that is.
Although, can we purchase it without approval? That's why we leased it. But we have put money into undesignated reserves.
That was not for the lease, right? Or
Yes, and it, that's a good question. And I don't know if it was because it wasn't planned for in that fiscal year.
Like, as things stand now, I know there's still moving parts and pieces in the budget, but if we wanted to stay at or below 5% increase over last year, we would need to take out up to $100,000 from there. And I think we would have, it sounds like we would have budget surplus and designated funds in excess of that.
Well, we did already from last fiscal year. We know that. And we know that part of it was that $186,000 that we put towards that one line item, and now it's become the undesignated fund balance.
Yeah.
So we have that $186,000 where so it can become undesignated fund balance, we can use it for.
I'd be surprised if there's not at least another 50,000.
Yeah.
I bet you there's.
Yeah.
400,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
I think there's one.
So we could really, maybe the answer is we just use up our reserves in a good way. And although I still would want to not reduce the budget by not putting reserves in, because then we're creating that problem.
Right, no, I wouldn't
That's-
not put the money, I would actually probably increase it, but just not as much as touch, but not the 200,000, right? That you put in this version of what you sent around, you would increase it by 200,000, 700,000, you said?
Well, in aggregate across all the reserves, it's up like 100 and something, last year, 130.
No, I thought you said 200.
You don't have a, not garage reserve.
That was for one specific account, but there was a couple others that might actually, yeah.
Like, well, the highway equipment went up $80,000.
I was wondering if we want to start a town garage reserve to put some of that money into that.
I think it's probably fine. I don't think we should start.
I think
Well,
the treasurer might actually. do this.
it could be part of, it could be part of consolidation.
Right. Well, and that's something we could do as part of that, because I'm guessing that if we consolidate, and part of that vote could be, I think we have the policy regarding the undesignated fund balance, and it's supposed to be, what is it? It's a certain percentage of our budget. So it's like, yes, it's like maybe 3 months, so it would probably be close to $600,000. So we can take it or use it on the truck. So 5% was your suggestion?
Yeah, trying to keep our increase, out of below 5%.
Mhm.
And that, so at exactly 5% would be like 2.9, maybe $40,000 increase over last year's budget. Seems like that actually is going to be a little bit less than that this time.
Yeah.
So if we, we have the undesignated balance. There's more than enough there to bring us below the 5%.
Mm-hmm. That's maybe we should look at them and then go through the total budget.
Acceleration.
Maybe the road going to and then review.
Yeah, and this seems like it's the revenue detail at the bottom. It seems like some of the numbers are new and some are old.
Which is where you
I'm on the second tab.
revenue detail. Yes, this, I started this, but this is one that I have a lot of questions on.
Yeah, because
So this is a work in progress.
yeah, but it said, it looks like, so the tax increase from FY24 was 7%. So we could be in a good spot.
From 24.
Well, yeah, so it's 2 years out, but if we really only increase taxes by 7%. 2 years or something.
No, that's because those were 2 and 5.
Mhm.
2 from last year and 5.
Yeah.
Yes, that's less than 1 year and less than 1 year.
Mhm. Yeah.
We're so blind with it.
Although so last year's estimated tax rate was 59.7%. And this year, if this number is right, it might be 62.73. So it would be 3 cents.
That's at the 11th. At least when I'm looking at, that's at a higher number without any undesignated balance.
Right. Well, and it doesn't have your, I don't think it has your.
Yeah, So, just at the start of the meeting, I sent around a revised version of Ryan's draft that had those new SIP plan numbers in. And I'm seeing the same, 62.73 cents. And I think all of our expectations is with some unreasonable performance applied. Get that. 61.
Although that chart uses your 297.
Yeah.
So that's, we should be in pretty good spot.
Yes, so this is kind of the worst case before any doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go back to- It's like a 2.5 cent change in the tax rate. From your original numbers to your change.
And just I have not changed I don't know if you did, Chops, the FY 23, 24 actuals or 25 budget. That is might be 22, 23, and 24. But not mess with those stuff about it. It actually looks like it's a little off, but it's not that much off. It's under a couple of
This one, this revenue detail has a 2676 for the last 25. Yeah, that's right. Expense
Yes.
detail had their own lower number.
It's the FY 24 that's wrong, and not FY 25. And FY 26, there's, I think Brian's original was 284, 265, which would be the tax rate. And then it would, that would be less than an increase in the tax rate.
And that was rough. Okay.
When Chad's changed the numbers, it went to 297,978, and that's a 3 penny increase in the tax rate.
But if I just plugged in one of those formulas, it's took out 125 grand. Like magic. Our tax rate is 59.5 cents.
Which is what it is this year.
So that must be a little bit of a growth in awareness.
Mhm.
That would be amazing.
I think they usually come.
And last year was like a 1.
Yeah, it changes from the year. But they do try to make it.
1%.
No, it was higher. It was,
It's higher.
Yeah.
It's higher.
That's cool.
So we're looking pretty good. So you guys are, it looks like the big question is what we do for using contributions.
we have talked, yes.
What else do you need to talk about?
Well, there is the rest of the budget.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
The one thing we should look at is patrol cost, sheriff
Mhm.
is going up.
And Warren reached out about this. I think that the sheriff was like, I don't know about this. They were wondering how much we spend and how much of a patrol presence we have. And I said, we just base it on a number and they kind of back out the hours. And then the message I got back from Warren was that the sheriff department wants us to kind of figure out about why allocation of hours. And I'm like, why is that important? Yeah, that's the point.
Did you see that the sheriff did give us a report with all of their, all the tickets they issued? Did.
And then they actually requested that. So there might be another conversation, but Facein has to decide, I think, also whether they want this game.
The historical.
I was gonna say, right.
We did, at one point, we owned cruisers.
Yes.
And our constables who were deputy sheriffs.
Right.
Is this?
It did not work out.
No, we're not. So that number might be something we wanna change a little bit.
So
Like, I think we've
Because
reduced
you just
patrol
kept
officer
that.
numbers down,
We did significantly 2 years ago.
bringing on the constable.
Well, it almost doubled to the rate.
Yes, they went from like $35 to $60.
You get reserve. Some.
Fred's asking about the White House operations in Capitol, which have pretty modest dollars attached. $4 grand in operation, 7,500 transferred to Capitol. At one point, the roof, we were looking to fund ARPA money. ARPA money.
We kind of had a conversation. I don't think we were hoping to fund it.
Didn't get the grant.
We didn't get the grant, yeah.
Yes.
And then one of the outstanding issues with the White House is it's not supposed to be. So, I know,
We,
we do own it, but I'm not gonna support $100,000 in the reserve funds. I mean, we put money in the reserves, yeah, I know.
7,000. Thank God that we already authorized.
Mhm.
The roof is-
But we haven't,
We do have 75,000 plus minus. I'm just saying,
yeah, we have enough
that's a
to,
very modest.
we have enough to afford the new job.
And just for what it's worth, we put in the budget $4,000 for White House operations. We haven't spent any of it this year.
Sorry,
Because nobody's building anything against it.
But-
Which, I mean, when they come and fix the alarm, it seems like it's all
well,
tough.
there's different. There's
I'm
several.
just saying that it's really modest, knowing that we've got.
You guys think there's a good grant for, grant program for conservation trust?
That's who we talked to for the roof.
Oh, okay.
The American application. Anne Marie said that she was applying for a grant, but then backed out of it. It just was too complicated. Too much.
So we've gone from FY22 was 2,000, FY23 was 5,000, FY24 was 7,500. So we have increased the capital contribution.
Yeah. Feels to continue incremental and go to 10.
I do want to give it a 10.
We're going to get, probably have to decide whether we're going to do it.
We've already agreed, we have a contract.
Let's 25,000.
We don't,
How's that?
whether we pay or not, we don't know.
We got plastic covering
Yeah.
half of it.
You know, the idea that it's not going to cost the taxpayers anything, I promise made 35 years ago.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's up to the voters to decide. Maybe we could do a special vote.
Yeah.
Do the holiday.
I do think it should be, I don't think we should pass that to the budget to a significant number, or depending on what happens with the undesignated reserve.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should be like a $50,000 appropriation. Especially, you know. There's been a lot of grant applications that sort of fundraising.
Yes, so that's how we 75,000. More contribution.
It's not really much. Okay. What else we got, Brian?
So I think that's it for public safety. Haven't touched the history yet. But that's dues and assessments. The big one there is the Nashville Valley Planning District really hit it the last 2 years.
Mhm.
This year, I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but the budget was kind of okay, the budgeting process. And there were some mistakes made, like not including the line item for FICA, which left them in a hole now, and there's no more carryover that they can count on.
Yeah, these
And this is gonna, I'm hoping this is gonna set them right for more sustainable incremental increases in the future.
So can I give one piece of feedback though for the district? I know that their fiscal year is different than our fiscal year. And I think especially with an increase like this on top of last year's increase, they need to make sure that their billing changes are concurrent with that fiscal year and when we budgeted money for it. Because I think the appropriation for FY25 increased because of it impacted like our FY24 budget,
So-
when the bill came out. So I think, I would respectfully request that they consider the other towns' budget years in their billing rate. So we don't get a double whammy on that.
One of the problems is that all the towns have the same fiscal year.
Right, well, that's
Yeah.
not our problem.
No. No, we have, So what happened last year? We paid upfront in FY24.
However, the billing change impacted us in the fiscal year that we got a bill like right away in like April.
Yeah.
Before our fiscal year for the previous year was closed out at the number that they had given us. So the change impacted the fiscal year that was not the approved, did not have the approved number.
Not all towns pay. Okay, I understand what you're saying. And the towns pay on a different schedule too, which is probably further complicated.
Yeah.
We can figure that out. The good news is most of it's going down for us.
You mean Mervis or?
Mervis, yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were talking about the closure of the health center.
No, that's not.
Yeah.
So that's, anything else there? On special appropriations, we haven't heard from a lot of folks, and I'm afraid that some of them might be falling through the cracks.
I would say if there's an amount there, I would just.
Level funded, that's what I was thinking too. I don't think anybody's not gonna, if they don't want to vote for it. These are all folks who funded in the past, and if they did the funding last year, let's just have them. We do have 2 new requests, Valley Arts and the Historical Society, which our policy has been, when there's a new request, we put it out special. And then under miscellaneous, the big change, so back to public safety, I put in the constable at 7,500. We haven't spent anything. We haven't been billing this.
No.
We might at some point. He hadn't been doing that much, but he was all over the public good.
Yes. Yeah. You delivered a letter for us.
Yep.
And a few things.
We get prepared now.
I talked to him.
Okay. And then the big thing under miscellaneous is the cemetery commission. And, there are 2 mistakes here. One, in this line item, trail maintenance last year was $3,000, not $2,500. And Mad River television requested going up to $4,000. And then you have so many different line items for insurance. I'm going to try to figure out why the different coverages, but in the past, we've just done a percentage increase for a lot of our insurance companies. Not health
Like
insurance.
liability type.
Yeah. PPA. Was it? I don't know how you say
Yeah, I've always said passive.
it.
Okay.
Like, there's a couple of them.
Yeah, square round. So you did a percentage increase.
I haven't yet. This is going to be some smaller changes.
Yeah.
I found it. Yeah. CC. Just getting it out there. We pay it. So it sounds like we'll look at revenue hopefully next week. This will be fairly finished.
Right, it'll need to be fairly finished, we'll have to have the revenue next week. We should have a sample. one.
Is that something
Yeah, I make sure. Although I think if it's this straightforward morning, I don't know if it's necessary.
Yeah.
Just a good opportunity. Because it's just a change in numbers. Okay.
The appropriation is an entirely separate one, it's not included.
No, there's, articles, so there'll be like the budget number, there's like some standard stuff that, right?
Yeah.
And so the appropriation would be something, it would just be added.
Okay, as one of the.
Yes. It would be probably, yeah, it would be like articles 5 and 6.
And do you want to talk about it later, a one-time rate pass appropriation? You go there and check it. Maybe tell us where they're going and support that. I don't know, but I think another request. But
I think you're talking about the expense of it. And I'll be honest, like, town meeting's great, but it's really not democratic. We have the 150 people in the room decide that we're gonna spend $100,000 on the budget. And then there's about, another 4 or 500 people that show up to vote on the school budget and everything like that. I mean, really, I'm not gonna support a big number, I guess is my point.
The goal is to take the temperature of the voters in addition to.
well, and to beef up our reserves to deal with some of the necessary.
Well, instead we could do 10, so
Yeah.
7,500. These maps. And then how many people came in last year? There's, yes, with a big number on the floor vote.
And for a second, we finished the voting on the budget first. That's good.
Which is fine, but I don't think that the 150 people that show up should get to determine what. In this, you could put one article on, then put a more reasonable number. I'm just saying, don't put something like $100,000.
Oh, yeah.
Like, 20,000, okay, let's have that discussion, but.
Give us. No, that's good, give us.
Plus 10, we've got 72 in reserve.
Plus what you're gonna have after this year.
They're gonna spend some.
And I think we need to talk about what needs to be. Because the carriage bar has that one.
This way everything is city.
Yes.
The main house.
Well, and then the question is, does that include the open shed?
Right.
Yeah.
Or
It
do we
doesn't
just tear it down? Because that open shed, I think the information we got is that it might not support it.
You gotta take care of your inputs.
That was easy.
And hand tools, backpacks and PFDs.
All right. Whew. You good?
Well, I'd say that.
One thing, thinking about that, do before next meeting would be that, with the Steve Sampson to get an idea. One, how much of that ARPA money is to that? Undesignated funds, because I think we've committed some to the.
So,
incentive.
no, so there's ARPA money that's been designated, that's sitting in that ARPA money pool, and that's like the now money, the Valley Players money, the sign money. Then there's the money that we
So
voted on the
Coming
resolution,
from a
that's,
separate.
it's already in the
Yeah.
undesignated fund balance.
Okay. The second piece would be expected kind of surplus from this year, right? Where we should have, underspend on staffing.
Right,
and-
so, yeah, we want like an FY 25 budget update, year to date.
Yeah.
So we-
Well, I know.
Which I have.
Oh,
But that's only part of the story. Then next would be what do we expect is going to happen in the next
Yes,
6 months, and where do we think we'll end up at the end of the year? Because that would influence how much we might have available to us. So, reserve transfers, how much we might have for the house roof, etc. Right?
well, the
There's a-
reserve transfers don't happen until the end of the year, and they're released to the fiscal year. So like, the taxes, so like the reserve transfers that are gonna happen at the end of FY 25 are being raised to the FY 25 budget, but they're not gonna be transferred in until the end of the year.
We're likely to have unspent
Yes,
budget
right.
surplus. And when those get, those don't have to wait for the end of the year. And let's get moved into the reserve if we so choose.
We put them into the undesignated,
So that we
which we didn't have.
so we need to wait until the following June.
For,
If we're gonna move some of that from the unbalanced to reserve accounts.
we could do what we have there now. As long as we leave what is required by policy, by our town policy. If we have money that's over and above what our town policy requires, we could transfer it. But putting it in the reserve fund. However, we could. Might be able to spend some. We could say if we had an expense, an unexpected expense that came up over here.
The same questions or the LCT
How much
questions?
we have in there?
You know how much we have is this.
No, not how much we have, just what are the rules and regulations, and like you mentioned earlier, could we do some of that to pick up.
And they might say.
Oh, but they also, they have like staff.
Yeah, they have the municipal laws.
All right, so we can move on. So on the select board, I just put in a note in here because there was the, instance of check fraud. Steve spoke today, and there's like a check and ACH protection you can put on. It's like, I don't think it's a commission, but it was. And so I can't imagine this. But it's like, you know, the bank lowered it. I think the ACH protection is about $3 a month. And then the check is per check.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
Seems
that's, yeah. How much was the check?
Like 2,400. I should send you a copy. It should have a woman
Was it
like
like
her.
white out?
Yeah, it was a sticker with her name and address and. And she said, they said, oh, yeah, I do know this person.
Yeah, that's, yeah, when I.
It was not a.
Okay, does anybody else have anything from people? And then we move on to the executive session.
Can you plan for the personnel?
I think just doing, I think we have several, well, we have contracts and then person.
Okay. So I make a motion that in the executive session, student to safety for community person.
All those in favor?
I agree.
Recording stopped.
All right, and we're not gonna have anything when we come back, so.
Okay,
we're
so
good.
all done?
All
Yeah.
done for the.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Happy to do it.
I was about to say, you did an excellent job of like cold filming that random Civil War thing that,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
like, I mean, you had zero information ahead of time and my couples were confused because they kept on like going dark and light, dark. Watched it.
Oh, you
I was
did?
like,